Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 132 of the Terminal City FC podcast, part of the Area 51 Sports Network. Josh Story joining alongside Nathan Durek, as per usual, and we're broadcasting live on the Area 51 Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Terminal City FC podcast Twitter page as well. So if you're watching, hello to you all. And if you're listening on the podcast feed, which is out later today, hello to you all as well. So the month of May has not been kind to the Vancouver Whitecaps, and this team is in a funk, to say the least.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of putting it. And the funk is offensive production. Defensively, Take out the LAFC match.
Take out that game.
The LAFC match. Defensively, they've actually been quite sound, especially if you're looking at two games where they only picked up 1 point, which would be in Seattle and in Colorado. Defensively, they were there, but offensively, they can't get anything going.
Yeah, which is crazy to think. Like a month ago, this was one of the highest scoring teams in Major League Soccer, and now they can't get anything going.
Yeah. Now you can argue about what that is. I don't know. One thing I will say is and we were talking a little bit about it last night at the match, is since he's come back from his injury, Fafa Picault hasn't hit the stride that he had beforehand. He's a little bit more hesitant going into those 1v1s, which is where he excels. And if he's not willing to do that right now, or if he's not 100% match fit in order to be able to do that, that really hurts the Whitecaps overall, because you're now forced to either look elsewhere or go with a guy that isn't able to use the full extent of his speed, which is what he's known for.
Yeah, and ever since he came back from his back spasm injury, Picault hasn't been as dynamic, to say the least. And I mean, it's not a slag on him, but
no, not at all.
It was never going to be sustainable, his hot run, given the type of player he is. He is a deaf guy, first and foremost. But we're not saying the same Fafa Picault as we saw earlier in the season. Brian White looks not like himself. Ryan Gauld looks underwhelming. Yeah, you could just say the whole attack as a whole, very underwhelming.
Yeah. Now what's the fix? I don't want to lean into the argument of, you've got a DP spot, you've got U22, or you've just got a summer transfer window coming up. I don't want to lean into that, because you want to be able to fix it with what you have right now. I know that they were looking at the initial Cavalry match, the first match in Calgary, as what are the pieces that are going to impress us? Levante Johnson impressed. He got a couple of goals. But by and large, besides those two goals, he was kind of invisible.
Yes, and just the def isn't really working. Like a lot of stuff, isn't working for the Whitecaps.
You also have Damir Kreilach, a guy you brought in for depth as well, especially in a busy month of May, who hasn't been able to play because he's out injured with an ankle, I believe. Yeah. So the pieces that you brought haven't been able to perform because they're out injured, are coming back from injury, or you're being forced to use youth that maybe are being bled in a little bit too quick or too much for where they are in their career. Yeah. And it's weird. I don't want to call Levante Johnson the youth, because he's 25 years old. This is one of those years, and he was the guy last year that was getting the short-term contracts. The year before that, it was Simon Betcher and Ali Ahmed. This year is Levante Johnson's year to either show up and prove that you need a full-term contract that goes beyond this year, or it's time to say, so long and thank you.
Maybe, yeah.
And I don't know where that is right now with him. He's had he can show up in moments of brilliance, but I haven't seen the consistency yet.
Yeah, like he has the tools to be a very good offensive player for the Whitecaps. Like he's got the speed, he's got the flair, the tenacity, but playing the final third, his decision making, the first touches even, that's what's dragging him down.
Because the thing is even last night, he had moments again. Ketchwele's almost goal in the first half, it was a beautiful through ball from Levante Johnson.
Yeah.
Right? Initially
But,
set up by, of all people, Luis Martins. I mean, I don't know where that came from. But he has these moments where he can pick players out, or he can take, attack the space into the box by himself. We're not seeing it consistently, and I don't know if it's just because he's only getting a game here, there, and everywhere. He's getting a consistent run right now. This is when you need to show that you can do it. I don't know if it's there. The one thing it was kind of funny. I was having a conversation with someone else, and I was saying the one thing I do like about him is he doesn't necessarily have the explosive speed of what we saw years ago with, say, a Kekuta Mane. But he can take the ball with him when he's at speed. Right. Because Kekuta Mane, for all the speed he had, he'd forget the ball 10 yards behind him.
Johnson would keep the ball.
He keeps the ball, right? He can actually move the ball at pace. But it becomes a little bit one note when he now has to make the decision of, okay, what's next? I can get up the line, but what am I going to do with it? Right? There's that little bit of hesitation of, okay, now do I cut in, or am I looking for the one or two guys in the box already? There's that hesitation, and by the time he hesitates, he's already marked.
Yeah, like you got defenders closing in on him, and he just doesn't know what to do. So the week began with a 1-0 loss to Colorado Rapids. We won't talk about the first two games too much, but things were promising until Bjorn Gaupvik got sent off for the handball in the box. It's harsh, but apparently those are the rules.
It's the rules. It sucks. I don't necessarily agree with the rule. It should be one or the other, but yeah, it's the rule.
Yep. And
you can't. Someone was complaining about this. It's like yelling at the cashier for the price of what you're buying.
Yeah, as someone who works in retail, that's
you're doing their job, right? It sucks.
Yeah, and that game, it could have been much worse. Thankfully, Colorado kept missing some grade A chances.
Yeah.
And the Whitecaps hang on till the end. They still lost, but at least they didn't lose like 3 or 4-0. It was just 1-0.
Yeah. Again, defensively sound for the most part. I mean, you can argue that if Utvik wasn't there, it was going to be a goal anyway.
Yeah, the only goal was a penalty, by the way.
The only goal was a penalty, and they were able to maintain what they were like a bit kind of an onslaught down by 10 men, right? Or only down to 10 men.
Down to 10 men,
And at that point, there was nothing offensively going forward. It was just it
almost
felt like triage.
Yeah, Brian White had a partial breakaway near the end, but he skied it over the bar.
Yeah.
And that was about it.
Again, emblematic of the offensive struggles going on right now.
And then there was the 1-1 draw in Seattle against the Sounders. For a start, since there was some sloppy defending, which led to Jordan Morris's goal. Fortunately, Kubas had to be taken off early in the second half with an ankle injury, because before that, he was like the best player on the pitch by a mile. I mean, it was a slow, dull game for not just the Whitecaps, but for the Sounders too, because they weren't really creating anything.
The Sounders are trying to find themselves right now, so you can almost understand why the Sounders are. They're trying to fight something just as much as the Whitecaps, but the Sounders have been fighting it longer. The fact that Morris gets on the score sheet when you've got almost the entire Sounder fan base wondering why is he constantly being picked over a few other guys.
Yeah,
I don't think he quieted anyone, but at least he might have gave them pause.
Something. Yeah.
Right?
He gave them something.
The penalty at the very end, I don't know, a stroke of luck when you needed it.
Yeah, because a few minutes earlier, Javane Brown gets his arm on the ball.
Yeah.
No call for VAR, no penalty given. And then Nuhu has his hand on Sebastian Berhalter's shot in the box, went to VAR, and obviously the penalty was given. Ryan Gauld scored, and then Sounders fans weren't happy.
Nuhu was a penalty. Arm away from the body like that.
Yeah, it was a penalty. So was Javane.
I argue Browns was as well. Now,
Me too.
Sounders Media did go. They sent the pool reporter down to the referees to submit a few questions, and it's a crapshoot when you send a pool reporter down. That I'm the pool reporter for the Whitecaps, so I mean I know
You are,
sometimes
yeah.
you get nothing, sometimes you get quite a lot. Basically, what was given by the referees is Browns' arm was considered to be in a natural position. Nuhu's was not. Now, I don't know if you've seen some of the pictures, even in the game that we were watching. I said the only way Brown's arm is in a natural position is if he's trying to imitate a chicken or if he's a marionette.
Yeah.
Right? I'm sorry, but that's not a natural position, or you're trying to do a jig.
Yeah.
Right?
It was kind of like this.
It was
I don't
like
know.
this. Like it was like a weird, like basically triangle in the body. I'm like
a bent arm, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And you see defenders time and time again that if that ball is coming at you, yes, you're trying to get your body big to block it. But these guys cross their arms behind their back. Right.
Yeah.
You don't stick them out.
Yeah. Nuhu was trying to he's falling at the same time.
Yeah. So, hey, I'm happy that 2 calls went in the Whitecaps' favor, but let's not kid ourselves. I don't know if one of them was deserved.
Yeah, it was a heist. Basically,
that's one of those ones when you quietly leave the pitch, you take your point, and you escape under the cover of dark.
Yeah, just get on the bus and just drive up the I-5.
Exactly.
That's what they did.
Oh,
they took
and hope they don't stop you at the border.
Yeah, they took a plane, but same idea.
Yeah. Oh, they took a plane. That's true. Yeah.
So last night, I mean, Whitecaps were up 2-1 on aggregate with 2 away goals, right?
Yeah.
Should be a comfortable win against the CPL side.
Especially when you're playing in your own building.
Yeah, but it was not. And I'm kind of glad I was under the weather and did not go to this game because this was painful.
I will say right from about 45 minutes before the match, when we were given the starting lineups, there were questions.
A lot, yeah.
I get you need to play 3 Canadians in your starting 11. That's great. That's great for this tournament. I like that the Whitecaps try to make that actually 5, 6 if they can. I'm all for it. I am surprised when you hand someone a short-term contract and you give them a start.
It was very surprising to see Cyprian Cachuele start.
The interesting thing is that for the first 45 minutes, they weren't the problem.
No.
They weren't doing as much going forward as I would have liked, but they weren't the problem because a lot of times they weren't getting service. Bovalina looked like he was on an island with his hands up in the air for half the match going, guys,
give me the ball.
Give me the ball. Especially when he's the guy brought in to be the one feeding in crosses. Now, when he did get it, it wasn't that often, but you could say it was hit or miss of whether or not he was actually hitting someone, but he was getting the balls into the box. If you had someone with a bit more experience on the end of them, maybe there would have been a little bit more success, but he felt like he was one of the only guys actually trying something. Sebastian Berhalter and Pedro Vite.
Yeah.
Painful to watch. It's so funny because you look at their passing stats and they're actually pretty good. And that's because they were like 5-yard passes in between the two of them, right?
Right.
Or they're trying to go up through the middle, which was absolutely clogged.
Props to Calvary for the defending.
Oh, who's the one guy? Was it
Dan Klomp. Yeah, Dan Klomp, one of the best defenders in the CPL.
Man of the match.
Oh,
what a performance by him. In a position that's a little bit uncommon for him. He usually sits further down on the pitch, playing a little bit higher up, more like a ball-winning 6. Hell of a job.
Yeah, that's right.
Right? Kachwele, again, like he probably had the best match or best opportunity of the Whitecaps in the game in that first half. Just shy of the post. Carducci was able to get fingertips on it and went out for the corner. You wonder was someone with a bit more experience there, but I would say Kachwele,
He did what he could.
he did what he could. It's neither here nor there. Again, and the reason why I question starting someone like Kachwele is you can't make the argument of Canadian inclusion, right?
He's Tanzanian.
Right. The other thing is you're putting those three guys in your top triangle, let's call it,
the front
9
three.
and 2 10s. Why are you not at least giving them some experience up there to help two of them, right? Put two of them out there. Put some experience there. Pico wasn't even on the bench.
No, Levante Johnson has experience, but still not enough.
This is his first year on a full-time first-team contract.
Yeah.
He was the most experienced of the bunch. I don't necessarily know if I would throw the label of experienced on him. Yeah, that was the midfield was atrocious. Al Ahmed, I don't know what that yellow card was. What are you doing shooting the ball 5 minutes after a whistle?
That's a Cavallini type yellow card.
It was absolutely. It was the unnecessary one. It was uncharacteristic. It was it was tough. Pedro Vite, I am very surprised was not sent off for a second yellow.
Yeah, made some really
reckless challenges, diving, you name it.
Poor passes.
I know that there's going to be people that disagree with me, but I'm sorry, he was the worst guy on the pitch by a country mile. And that's saying something because there was a lot of poor performances. I mean, Sartini at the end of the match. I mean,
everyone was bad. He said
everyone was bad. That's what he said.
I don't know who was.
He did put a caveat at the end of that, saying that he liked Bovalina, he liked Bomer, right?
I think those are the only two that can get some positives.
Really,
especially Bomer for that big save at the end.
Bomer for the own goal. It's an own goal. It's going while you're moving in the opposite direction. The deflection was a big deflection. It was poor from Renko in the fact that he had no one really around him forcing him into that air. I get you want to stop the cross. You got to do better than that. And again, I don't even blame just Renko. Where was Laborda? That ball is coming in from the right. Why are you not marking the guy that's doing the shot in the first place?
Like Akio was left wide open.
Yeah, Akio had a number of quality chances. The chance in the second half where Bomer came off his line to stand up big in front of him. Best save of the night.
Yeah, Bomer saved the Whitecaps in this tournament.
He had two big saves in this game.
Literally saved them.
Yeah. It could have been a lot worse.
I mean, if not for that save, we'd be talking about what a disaster last night was. Well, last night was a disaster. But
the interesting thing is a CPL team has beaten an MLS team 3 times in this competition.
And all the MLS team,
the Whitecaps.
Vancouver Whitecaps.
2 of them now Cavalry at BC Place.
Both
Cavalry is 2 wins, 0 losses at BC Place.
Yeah, which is just credible.
And this is a Cavalry team that hasn't been doing the greatest to begin their CPL.
Yeah, they only have 1 win.
Yeah.
And they didn't have the greatest game. I mean, they drew York, I believe.
They did.
Over the weekend. Well, more on York later. But this is a game you expect the Whitecaps, even with their B team, to win comfortably.
The thing is the Whitecap. You know what? I am happy that the Whitecaps play some depth in this tournament. That they choose to go above and beyond with their Canadian contingent. But if they are going to treat this tournament with the importance that they say it has, you have to show that a little bit more.
Yeah,
And
and that was
if
not
we
shown
have-
last night.
if we and the thing is if we have questions right from when we were handed the paper with the starting lineup, that that level of importance that you say you have is starting to be questioned a little bit by us, which is sad because it shouldn't be. You're the back-to-back champions of this tournament right now.
Yeah,
That shouldn't be in question. But from what we saw last night, yeah, there's more than a few.
there is a lot of things that need to be improved with the Vancouver Whitecaps, especially from what we shown last night,
Yeah.
because
The
that
other
was
thing we
not
should
a
say
good
is
performance
for
at all.
what we're saying with Bovalina and for being one of the somewhat bright spots, he did that while playing out of position too.
Yeah, because he's
Right? He's more
not
of
a
a
winger.
classic wing back. He's
a wing back.
He's not. I don't even know if you could call him a number 10. He was basically so far out wide. He was a winger, which
Pretty
you know what?
much.
Yeah, he was a man on his own island waiting for a ball.
Yeah, and I mean, sure, they're through to the semifinals, but the way it went down, that they had to rely on the away goal rules, is
It
pretty
leaves a
pathetic.
sour taste in your mouth. Sartini said it after the end. Like Cavalry deserved to take this to penalties.
Oh yeah,
Right? They deserved it. And he actually called out the CSA saying this is a rule you guys should revisit.
yeah, but the rule pretty much saved him and his
It
team.
did. Oh, it did, right? It absolutely saved him. If it wasn't for that rule, I suspect
Who knows?
gone ahead.
Yeah, and
I think the Whitecaps need to show that they deserve to be here, and they need to do that by showing up in the semifinal. Whoever it is they get. Now, the draw for that is going to be on May 29th, I believe, which
Yep.
means that they're going to be facing one of either TFC,
or let me just take a look.
Pacific, I believe, and the winner next week between CF Montreal and Forge.
Yeah,
And I'll say right now, with the way Montreal is playing, if I know they're up in the tie, but if Forge gets the first goal, ooh, that's anyone's game.
Yeah,
Like
that
how
is-
this one was.
yeah, because I mean it was an own goal, but Cavalry looked more deserving of the win.
In this one, yeah.
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 And it's pretty
They have a day today just for recovery, and then they're going to go back into training for Thursday, Friday. Right now, Thursday, Friday training is going to decide who that lineup is because
it's getting harder.
you can't base this last game. Yeah.
You can't. I mean, if they play like this on Saturday, that game could end like 10-0.
I'll tell you right now, the only person who is guaranteed to start on Saturday is Takioka.
Yeah,
That's it.
that's it. That's the only player guaranteed to start because for obvious reasons.
Yeah. And I mean, he didn't have a good game last game, but I mean, you can say that of everyone is also Ryan Gauld.
Yeah, and I guess
You
Brian White.
can't leave your DP out when you're paying that much in a match that's going to be this big in front of that many fans.
Yeah. And okay, yes. Up next, Inter Miami.
Yeah.
Lionel Messi, Luis Suarez, Jordi Alba, and the return of Julian Gressel. This match has been circled on the calendars by everyone here in Vancouver
Yep.
since the schedule was released.
It's a sold out building.
Yes.
It's a sold out
50,000
building.
plus.
Yeah.
Expected.
Last I heard, it's over the 54, close to the 55. It's a sellout. Let's say it that way. And the thing is there's no guarantee that Lionel Messi plays this match.
Yeah. Though I will say that injury he suffered in Montreal looked minor.
It
He
looked
did.
minor, but there was video of him in training yesterday, and he's limping.
Yeah, And he
Now
did.
we could be reading into this. I mean, there's going to be 1,000,001 pundits and reporters and media and everyone reading into it.
Yeah, yesterday
but
he was grimacing.
yeah, right. It didn't look great. It it would be nice if he plays even for say 45, but
Yep.
that's up to Inter Miami, and they're not going to just put out a player for the sake of putting out a player.
Yeah. Though a lot of people in the replies to that video are saying it's bait.
You know
Might
what?
be,
I
you
think
never know.
I said this from the beginning is if you're going to buy tickets to go to the game for a single player, buyer beware.
Yeah.
That you can be guaranteed that a team in pink shirts is going to show up. Who's going to be wearing those pink shirts? You don't get to decide. I don't get to decide. The Whitecaps don't get to decide. So,
Nope.
you know, it's a crapshoot.
Yeah.
Especially when it's a player that's, 38 years old?
36, 37. Yeah.
Something like that.
And he did play last weekend against DC United. The whole 90.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't score. I guess he's decided to play it safe.
Hey, he's being kept off the sheet 2 games in a row.
Yeah, maybe he's not fully 100%. Who knows?
Right. So who knows? That doesn't mean that he's still not dangerous. And
this is Lionel Messi we're talking about.
You've got all the other pieces that you just mentioned, right? Suarez,
Alba, Busquets, Gressel.
like you said, yeah. So yeah, they are by no means a one-trick pony.
Yeah, and just honestly, the confidence isn't that high. Quite low heading into this game.
It's not that high because of what May has, especially
exactly.
It's this last match,
and especially that last match.
Yeah. Now the thing is going forward in goal production, besides the goal with Sounders, the Whitecaps haven't scored a goal from open play
since Brian White.
Since Brian White against the Red Bulls in MLS. They had the 2 against Cavalry in the first leg of the Canadian Championship, but
that's Canadian.
The Brian White goal against Red Bull is the last one in MLS, and that was almost a month ago. It'll be a month less 2 days when that goal happened, when they finally step on the pitch to play Inter Miami.
Yeah, that's
scary. Long. That's scary.
It is very scary. It's just as scary as the fact, of facing those guys.
Yeah. When you're in a slump, it's probably not a good time to face the best team in the league.
Let alone the best player in the world.
Maybe this shakes them up. Maybe this actually gets their back up against a wall and they start to fight. I don't know. Stranger things have happened, but I'm not going to bet my money on it.
I'm not betting my money on the Whitecaps winning, and I think they'd be lucky if they lose by not getting blown out at this rate.
Yeah, it's disheartening to say that, but yeah, at this point, that's kind of where it's at.
Yeah, I mean, if the Whitecaps were on a hot streak, we'd be talking things a bit differently, but that's just the way we see it, given the reality of the situation.
Pretty much.
And yeah, Vancouver Whitecaps, Inter Miami, this Saturday, 7:30. I'll be there no matter what. And I'm sure a lot of people will be there, regardless of whether Messi plays or not. Personally, I think he'll play.
The one I gotta say, the one thing that I'm looking forward to, I mean, seeing Messi play will be cool. Whatever.
Yeah,
I'm interested in the environment of BC Place with that many people.
Exactly,
because it's going to be a precursor to what that stadium is going to feel like and look like
for the
when
World Cup.
Vancouver hosts World Cup games.
Yes, and yeah,
this is what I'm very interested in.
I can't wait for the atmosphere inside the stadium. Sure, many people will be wearing Messi's jersey, but still.
People are going to be cheering for Messi, but people are also going to be cheering. No matter who scores, there's going to be cheers. Let's put it that way. If the Whitecaps score, cheers. If Messi and Inter Miami score, cheers. It's Yeah, it's going to be actually probably a pretty happy environment, which is strange to say, but it's going to be
Something like we've never seen
no,
in the
not really.
Whitecaps MLS. Yeah,
No.
this is like a once. I mean, for us, once in a lifetime type of game.
It's very much an abstraction on the schedule, and I'm happy to just watch it, to see what
Yeah, me
it's
too.
going to be and just to experience it.
But for since we cover the Whitecaps, I just hope for better performances, a better performance.
I hope that
because
they are able to keep their defensive shape how they have been in not this last game, but in the previous two MLS matches. And I
Yes.
hope they just get some sort of shot in the arm offensively.
Yeah,
I don't
maybe
know what that is. I don't know what that is.
maybe the fact that they're facing the best team in the league is the shot in the arm.
It gets you up, right? It gets you up. It forces you to perform. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
Yep.
Let's move on.
Let's move on. The some CPL stuff. I mentioned York United.
Yep.
And they sacked their coach, which is a name Whitecaps fans are very familiar with, Martin Nash. The Mexican ownership has made their first big stamp on York United, and his successor will be Mauro Eustachio, who is one of his assistants.
Yeah. Brother of Stefan Eustachio, who plays in Portugal and plays on the men's national team.
Yeah, and condolences to the Eustachio family also, because they lost both their parents
within
a few months.
Yeah.
So,
so this the sacking of Martin Nash, it is equal parts surprising and not surprising. It is not surprising because you have new ownership coming in. They're coming in from outside of Canada, which means they came in with a short list of what they want to do, and that includes a manager. Martin Nash was on a very, very short leash to begin.
Yep.
So let's say
2-1-3 record.
It is.
Right now.
It is surprising for the timing.
Yeah, because they're not doing that.
Is off a win against Valor, and then a draw against Cavalry. They were moving in a positive direction. Their record is kind of it's mediocre, right? They haven't been horrible.
No, they've not been horrible.
Even in the games
but they haven't been good either.
Top teams in the East, they haven't been horrible. They haven't been great.
Yeah.
It felt like if you were going to do this, why was it not at the beginning of the season? And why did you wait 6 games? Like 6 games is just a weird time to do it. It's weirder being that your last couple of games have been decent, 4 points out of 6.
Yeah.
It felt like you already knew what you were going to do. You kind of just I don't know. The timing is the weird thing for me.
Yeah, York, they've been an inconsistent team to start the CPL season, but it seems like Martin Nash was a good guy in the room. Like the players enjoyed playing with him, but
he was absolutely like him.
The ownership had a different direction.
Well, this isn't let's say this. This is an ambitious ownership group, which is great for the club. Right?
Great for York.
You want your ownership group to be ambitious. You want them to invest in the club, invest in the community, and go for it. And I think this is now the start of it. They're going to bring in their guy. Eustachio is a caretaker manager. He's not the guy who's going to get the job. They had a short list in mind when they got ownership.
Yeah,
they had it already in mind. Now they
want someone bigger.
Yeah, and
Martin Nash was a big name.
Honestly, because of where they're coming from, and because I sincerely feel they had a short list coming in. The new coach, I believe, is going to be from Mexico.
Probably,
which is going to be interesting because it's going to bring new ideas into York.
So Martin Nash leaves New York with a 24-13-31 record. Not the greatest, not the worst, but very up and down, very inconsistent.
Yeah. The thing is he's going to go away. He's going to lick his wounds, and he's going to be back.
Yeah, I'll be back somewhere.
Be back in the CPL. It'd be interesting to see what happens with Valor. I'll say that. Now the thing
Yes.
is whether or not he wants to go to Valor, because Valor is got other problems besides
They've got,
what-
yeah, they got a lot of problems.
they're front office and all that stuff. I don't know, when it comes to the CPL, I think the biggest surprise right now is Halifax.
Yeah, they're not doing pretty well,
They haven't won a game.
which is absolutely crazy.
They have 1 point in 5 matches. Not what you expect from Halifax, especially with who leads them, right?
Yeah, Valor has a win over Halifax Wanderers, and Valor was projected to be one of the worst team in CPL.
Yeah.
And
so I don't know. Like I said, Nash there will be opportunities for Nash. It's just going to be a matter of when he decides he wants to re-enter. I think he's going to take some time.
Take some time off.
This was his first head coach job.
Yes,
right.
Because he's been.
The other thing is, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe he goes back to the Canadian program.
Yeah.
Right. They're looking for guys right now. They're looking for people. Maybe
Jesse, you'd be welcome on Jesse Marsh's staff.
He's been there before. I wouldn't be surprised. It's not. Yeah, it's not something I would be surprised.
Yeah. Closer to home of the CPL, Vancouver FC got their first road win rather, of the season, and they get it against Forge, which makes it even more impressive, considering Forge were undefeated at home prior to this game. That includes the Vasco Fry, former Whitecaps product, Olympico in the 29th minute, which turned out to be the winning goal. I've seen that like 10 plus times.
Yeah.
I don't know, like too many times to count, because that was just a thing of beauty. And despite having less shots, less possession, Vancouver just were resilient.
Vancouver FC feel like a different team this year. There's still questions about them defensively, but man, they're making it exciting.
I mean, they're clicking offensively. Like Alejandro Diaz and Dyer.
Yeah.
The front two attacking options.
Goatby,
those two are fun to watch.
Their head coach, Goatby, has kind of put to rest any rumors of him possibly moving to Australia. So that's
basically... Yeah, he pretty much was said, that's... I don't know where that come from.
Pretty much, right? They're a team... I don't know if they're going to still be in the top 4 at the end of the season.
But I think they'll fight.
They've been interesting so far. I have a feeling York is going to turn it around. I have a feeling Cavalry is going to turn it around.
Oh yeah, Cavalry.
Wanderers, I don't know what's going on. I can't say it right now. But I think Vancouver FC is going to be fighting for. They're going to be fighting to try to get a playoff spot.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think that was the expectation going into this season, and so far,
you're moving to the expansion team. Now it's time to try and consolidate and move up.
Yeah, so far, like a lot of resilience for Vancouver this season, and they're a team that wants to prove people wrong.
Absolutely,
which is good to see.
Yep.
Back to MLS, the Emmanuel Reynoso saga just continues to drag.
Yeah,
and now it's being reported that he's in talks to sign with Club Tijuana. Liga MX.
I mean, if you're Minnesota and you can get a deal done, you take it.
Yeah, because this guy's just been problematic.
Yep. And this isn't the first time.
No.
So, okay. So long.
Yeah. Thanks for so long. Fish. Farewell. Thanks for, I mean, you're a good player, but very problematic off the pitch.
Yeah.
So
I don't really. And that's the thing is he is a good player.
Yeah, like
he is a good player.
Pretty much worth the DP spot for Minnesota.
Yeah, but
I mean, every time he played against the Whitecaps, he was a problem.
Absolutely.
For them. And
it doesn't matter how good of a player you are. If you're going to be like this, I'm sorry, but you lose your teammates. Your teammates.
Yeah, you lose it. You lose the fan base too, and the staff.
Oh, he's lost the fan base hard. There's no way he could come back into this team. This is the only option. The only option is to dish him out to someone. The problem is other teams know it. They're going to get a cut rate deal from Minnesota, but at this point, Minnesota just wants to cut their losses.
Yeah, now I'm seeing this video posted by El Dolce, which I assume is it's an Argentinian news site, of Reynoso showing a bag full of money next to an armed person. And it took place in his last visit to Cordoba, Argentina.
Yeah, there's that's been making the rounds this morning.
Yeah, and then this idiot in the reply is like, who cares? It's a different country. It's not a soccer field. When can I expect him to start? Yeah, that's not happening, buddy.
No. I mean, Reynoso just goes from poor to worse.
Yeah.
So cut your losses, let him go.
Let him go and move on.
And, asterisk all his records.
Yes. All right, let's move over to Europe. I want to say, yeah, the European season is finished for the most part in terms of leagues. Chelsea season ended pretty well. 5 straight wins, 6th place finish. Europe. They're in Europe, which I never thought I'd say a month ago.
Yeah.
And if Man City win the FA Cup, which I think they should, Europa League. If they don't, Europa Conference League.
Yeah.
So 2-1 win over Brighton. And it was good to see Christopher Nkunku finally whip out the balloon. And Reece James is suspended for the first 3 matches of next season because of a really dumb challenge where he decided to kick the guy on the ground. I mean, he's the captain. He should not be doing this. Like, come on.
No. I mean, no one should be doing this. But yeah, if you're part of a leadership group, it's bad. And
then the final day, 2-1 win over Bournemouth. Caicedo scores a screamer from pretty much the halfway line. Like, what a way to get your first goal for Chelsea. Raheem Sterling also scores. They hung on till the very end. And, of course, Thiago Silva said goodbye to everybody at the end of the match. Salute to him. Farewell. And, of course, he said, hopefully this isn't the end. I want to see my kids play for this club one day. And his kids are like, what, 12, 13? So it's possible.
Yeah.
So, good vibes at the end of the season. But Matt Law dropped a bombshell yesterday. One I would have normally been excited for. One I would have been ecstatic for. So he says Chelsea and Maurizio Pochettino mutually parted ways.
Yeah.
So why am I not happy? Because he's gone? Gosh, you've been Poch out for months. You should be happy. No, I'm not. Because Chelsea want a young manager to replace Pochettino. A manager that's up and coming and not a manager that's elite, like I said last week. So forget Tuchel, forget Mourinho, forget Conte, forget Flick, Nagelsmann, and all the other big names out there. That's not happening.
Yeah.
So Matt Law has reported that names that could replace him are Thomas Frank of Brentford, Kieran McKenna of Ipswich, who just got promoted to the Premier League, Enzo Beresca of Leicester City, who also got promoted from the Championship, Michel of Girona, finished 2nd in the league, which is pretty impressive, and another name that's been thrown around is Roberto De Zerbi, who just left Brighton.
De Zerbi is not happening. I'll say that right now. De Zerbi wants to go to AC Milan.
Yeah, but I don't know if that'll even happen.
I don't know if it'll happen either. The other name I've been hearing, and I think it's just being attached, I don't think it'll happen either, is Vincent Kompany. Especially with Kompany apparently actually holding talks with Bayern Munich.
More of that later, but that's not happening.
Yeah.
They haven't even contacted Kompany.
Oh, they haven't?
And no.
Okay.
So there has been talks with Beresca and McKenna of Ipswich. And I said last week, like, sack Poch if you're getting an upgrade. This is not an upgrade. You're going backwards. This is at this point, I'd rather have them keep Poch for another year, but apparently it's a mutual ways apart, because apparently Poch also said, hey, I don't want to be part of this anymore. See you later.
Yeah, because Poch is looking at Man United.
Yeah, or even Bayern Munich. And the reported Poch wanted his say in the transfers and wanted a contract extension. And I guess he's told him no to that, and he said, "Screw it, I'm out of here. Bye."
Yeah.
And also taking with him his assistant coaching staff, which includes his son Sebastian.
Yeah. The thing with Poch is, and it's funny because you're seeing the response is he's a man manager, right? He
Yeah.
had the love of the players. Players are not happy with this.
They are
Fans are
not
going to be
happy.
all over the place, either happy, not happy, somewhere in the middle, whatever. You know what? It's kind of funny because when Poch came in, initially we thought, oh, this is someone that Bully just wants. He's going to be able to control. Now, I know Bully's not the one fully leading the show right now. His co-owner is
Bali and the sporting directors.
But doesn't this feel like more of the same, where it's owners wanting to control managers?
It's the same. It's the same.
It is.
They want a yes man.
I'm sorry, but that doesn't work.
I mean, Poch was under Daniel Levy for 5 years.
Yeah.
And goes to show that he's done with Bowley and Igbali's stuff.
Yep.
That's how bad it is. And just like the standard is in the garbage bin. Like, oh, you had one good season in the second tier. You're good enough to manage Chelsea. Back in the old days was you got to be an elite manager. Sure, Andres Villas-Boas and Frank Lampard were exceptions. But when Abramovich was around, he'd hire the best. Like when Lampard was sacked, who did he hire? Thomas Tuchel, who was the best manager available. And now, given the fact that there aren't a lot of good managers available right now, it just feels wrong to sack Pochettino. But again, this ownership wants a yes man, a man who will just be their guy to do what they say. And again, the Americans and Paul Stanley and Lawrence Stewart are running this club into the ground. Like, we were having good vibes to end the season. Maybe we're thinking, okay, maybe we were wrong about Poch. I was thinking maybe I was wrong about Poch. Maybe next year will be different, especially if he has a fully fit squad, because he was slowly starting to figure things out. And I was also thinking, okay, Poch had dinner with Todd Bowley. Don't know what that means, but I think he'll stay because we qualified for Europe. And then Matt Law drops this. And he also reports that the next manager will have a lot of pressure for trophies and UCL qualification, but they want a young manager. They're contradicting themselves. Your expectations are high, but you want someone that's up and coming. If your expectations are that high, bring back Tuchel or Mourinho. But that's not happening at all.
So I was going to say, if they want a young manager, I mean, obviously, especially with what is available right now, De Zerbi would be the guy to look at. But to me, I still say that he's not going to Chelsea.
I don't know. Like, it just feels like De Zerbi is their guy, given the fact what's been reported, possession based, up and coming.
I have no doubt
with the players.
Chelsea wants him. I don't think he wants Chelsea.
If I were De Zerbi, I wouldn't go there.
No,
because remember what happened to Graham Potter? Yeah, that's pretty much why I don't want De Zerbi, because he feels like another Graham Potter. And again, Chelsea's obsession with Brighton is at it again.
Hey, that was like Tottenham's former obsession years ago with Southampton.
Yeah. Hey, Pochettino was a Southampton manager.
Yeah.
And apparently Ruben Amorim of Sporting is still like in the cards, but it's unlikely.
Yeah.
Out of all the names, he's the best one. But oh my god, like somebody summed it up on Twitter. Like, Chelsea fans were like, "Oh, Pochettino out." The ownership was like, trust the process. Things will get better. And then, last month of the season, okay, we're actually starting to play well again. Then the ownership says, nah, screw that. Bye, Poch. And here's a mind-blowing stat for you. Chelsea have had, I think, 22 or 24 managers over the past 20 years, including interims. and that is more than the number of popes since 1722.
I gotta say, I find it absolutely hilarious that someone did a comparison between managers and popes.
Yeah, 24 managers since the year I was born. And Enzo Fernandez will be under his 5th manager since arriving from Chelsea, which is just crazy. Same with Mudryk and all the other players that came around that time. So, like, what else is there to say? Like, the ownership was like, oh, trust the process. Couldn't even trust their own process when it was starting to work. And instead of
hey, you guys could be the next Arsenal. Trust the process. 5 years later.
Yeah, well, at least Arsenal figured it out somewhat.
Still
They haven't, still have no trophies, but they're a good team.
Yeah,
they're a respected team again. Arteta is one of the best managers in the world, but no trophies. And yeah, it just feels like 1 step forward, 2 steps back, because we really had good vibes at the end of the season. Like, there was hope again. There was a lot of people saying, okay, I'm starting to recognize my club again. Maybe next season will be different. Maybe Poch is the guy to lead us forward, but he's gone. And I don't know who the next Chelsea manager will be. I don't like any of these names. And it's going to be a very turbulent offseason. But some good news regarding Chelsea, because the women's team have won their 5th straight WSL title, and they did it by thrashing Man United 6-0.
Yeah.
It looked like City.
Off for Emma Hayes.
Yep, and she said goodbye. She said good luck. Salute to her, because she made the Chelsea women's team what they are today. And they're going to miss her. We're all going to miss her. And since she's going to manage the U.S. women's national team, which is a pretty big step for her. And also good for Khadijah Buchanan and Ashley Lawrence, who won a domestic trophy with Chelsea. And Emma Hayes' successor will be Sonia Bombastor, the Lyon manager, which is the best possible replacement for her. I don't know why they don't have the same approach with the men's team, finding the best replacements, but at least they do it for the women's team.
Yeah.
Yeah, just so many trophies, except the Champions League, but she still won a lot, Emma Hayes, and she leaves Chelsea a legend. And her photo and her name are on the wall of legends outside Stamford Bridge.
Absolutely deserved.
Yeah, absolutely deserved. So, just when things were going well for Chelsea, it's back to drama. Never a dull day at this club. So I was hoping Tottenham would pull another Tottenham against Sheffield United, but Sheffield United are one of the worst teams ever in the Premier League, so that was unlikely.
You know, it was kind of funny. I didn't realize, but I was looking at the table before the match, and that's when I saw that Chelsea was only the 3 points behind Spurs and had, I think, a better goal difference. And I started to worry a little bit, but thankfully it was Sheffield. Sheffield actually, I think, had the fewest number of wins in the Premier League era this season.
Yes.
They actually broke, I think, one of their own records because they only had 3 wins, I believe.
3, yeah.
Yeah, 3-0 win. Well deserved. Brace for Kulishevsky, Pedro Porro with an absolute banger of a goal. Again, and I don't know, he keeps coming up with those. He had 4 goals this season in all competitions to do that. Overall, a season of growth. Tottenham ended up with more goals than the previous year, fewer goals against than the previous year, more wins, more points. And it's funny because even though they did so much better than last year, there's still a big minority of the fan base that's like, it wasn't enough.
Yeah.
I think if the season had been more spread out in terms of wins, losses, draws throughout the season, we would be looking at the season as a whole of saying, you know what? Good job. I'm seeing progression. But because those first 3 months were just so great,
And the
Right.
last month wasn't that great.
No, it wasn't. Well, no, those 4 losses in a row was tough. But the thing is we always knew that was going to be tough. We were facing out of those 3 of the best teams that were fighting basically for the title. So I wish they could have had a bit more of a showing, but I'm not surprised with how that, came out. I would have loved Champions League. I'm happy with Europa. I'm happy they got Europe because they didn't have that the year before. They were completely out. So to
Yep.
be where they are, I was really happy. The other thing I really noticed in this match was the importance of Dragusin and then how he defends set pieces. We've seen in previous matches is members of the opposing team and how they're getting in and abusing the area in and around Vicario, even to the point of like the one guy coming up to Vicario and starting to undo his glove.
Yeah. Right.
Dragusin and how he's able to position himself to give Vicario space away from the rest of the team allows him to be what we need as a goalkeeper. And it's something very little. It's something that you expect from a central defender who is, in the box, defending a set piece. I don't know. It was nice to notice that. And you hope that other people are going to be doing that in the future. So yeah,
Hey, there's
it was a
gives you
season
hope.
of progression. It was Postecoglou's first full season. It was the first full season, I believe, since
Pochettino.
Since Pochettino that a manager has actually lasted a full season.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Which is nuts, right? I think this is going to be a very, very interesting offseason. We already know that Postecoglou is being given a bank load of money to make this squad his. He has said there's 3 players that he's looking for. He's looking for an out-and-out striker. We know that they're going in hard on Ivan Toney. We know that they're looking for a midfielder. I don't know where they're going to go with this. There is, I believe it's a Japanese player who plays either in Spain or Portugal they're looking at, and the name's escaping me, but they're really looking at. We know that they're still kicking the tires on Gallagher. I don't know what's going to happen with that because Chelsea doesn't seem to know what that's happening with that.
I feel like he's leaving since Poch is gone.
Yeah, and they're still looking for another center back. Now, I know that apparently they've kicked the tires again on Chalobah.
Yep, and I think he's leaving too since Poch is gone.
I want them to still look at Tepsoba. Now, I don't know if that's going to be an option because of how good Leverkusen did.
Yeah, that's not happening.
Yeah.
Leverkusen doesn't want to sell their top players.
I still want them to go after Bastoni, but I don't think that's happening either.
Didn't he just extend his contract not too long ago?
Like a year ago or something like that. But anyway, that's what Tottenham was looking at. They're back in Europe. They also had, of all things, early, I think our morning today for us, a friendly against Newcastle in Melbourne, Australia.
Postecoglou's hometown.
Yeah. Ended up going to penalties. Newcastle wins on penalties. It was in front of about 80,000 fans in their national cricket stadium or whatever it was. Even Postecoglou, when they asked, why are you playing this game? All he could do was laugh. It's like we complain so much about how many matches teams have, and then you have a friendly halfway around the world 3 days after the final match. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes total sense.
So I hope that they got a bank load of money for this because there's no other reason for it.
Yeah, and the Postecoglou hometown story.
And I mean, sure, why not? And, there was a lot of fond memories, I think, for Postecoglou. There was a lot of the team saying thanks for, making us into a team and whatnot from years back when he was with in Australia. But, I mean, I don't know. It's a weird time to do it.
Yep.
Anyway, they're finally on break, so that's nice.
So Manchester City have won the Premier League again for the 4th straight year in a row. and their 115 FFP charges. I've also won them another trophy. The Premier League is getting boring. I'd say it is, because it's boring to see the same team win the league for all the time, except unless it's your team, of course.
I mean, it wasn't decided until the last day.
True, which makes it kind of exciting.
So it's getting.
But let's face it. It was always going to be City.
Yeah, I mean, City is just such a dominant force. There's going to be some changes at City. It'll be interesting to see with what happens. Ederson apparently has been shopped around. De Bruyne, I don't know where he's going to end up.
There have been rumors that he'd go to TFC, which is crazy.
Not happening.
I doubt that happening. He was also linked to LA Galaxy, which makes more sense.
Yeah. Although Galaxy, I don't think has a DP spot, so they're going to have to do some work there.
Yeah.
So anyway, it'll be interesting. I think
at least it wasn't Arsenal for us, right?
Yeah, exactly. Right. They're not a farmers league. They're still one of the best leagues in the world. They need to start proving that in Europe. But I mean, it's where managers want to go. It's where players want to go. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if teams like your Aston Villas, your Brightons, your Leeds have such financial sway and pulling power over some of the bigger teams elsewhere in Europe, they're not a farmers league. They just need to get their act together.
I mean, people like the word farmers league is hard to define.
Yeah,
words because it's always attributed to Ligue 1. Like farmers
and
league.
It shouldn't be.
I mean, speaking of Ligue 1, Brest are in the Champions League. Like that just came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's this really funny video on the Bleacher BR Football Instagram account where it's like a GTA mod, and it's like the Premier League teams as farms. It's really funny. It even had Chelsea as world's most overpriced farm.
Yeah,
which I even had to laugh at.
The one thing is, the thing that sucks is that you concluded initial charges, hearings, and even appeals of what was going on with Nottingham Forest and Everton. The fact that you haven't been able to do this with
City
is now, I know with City, it's getting wrapped, like it's starting to become an international political thing. Apparently, this actually is starting to involve the UK Home Office and political relations with Saudi Arabia because of who their ownership is. I get this is starting to become a little bit bigger, but the fact that a private entity like this is getting, or what should be a private entity, is getting wrapped up in international politics shows you the problems that are entering ownership, or I should say that has been entering ownership for a number of years, and that really needs serious addressing.
Yeah, that's pretty much why people aren't happy.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, the Farmers League thing, sure, I guess, but there are good teams in the Premier League below them. Like, look at what Aston Villa did this year.
Yeah.
So,
Aston Villa is going to be an interesting
to see them in the Champions League.
It's going to be a difficult team in Champions League, I'll say that.
Yeah, especially since I think they're obviously going to want to bulk up in the summer.
Interesting. Have you heard? Apparently, they're really looking at Ross Barkley,
who's done well with Luton. I'll say that.
Yeah,
good on him.
Yeah. Apparently, Unai Emery rates him very, very highly.
Yeah, I never rated the guy, but props to him for rebounding his career.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So FIFA has launched a five-pillar proposal to combat racism in football, which is unfortunately still a problem.
Yeah, this was something that was actually presented at one of the General Assembly meetings that they had in Bangkok. I think it was last Thursday. It outlines proposals of what referees can do. They're introducing a new referee sign, crossing hands in front of the chest, if there ever needs to be a game stoppage due to racist incidents, whether it's in the match or in the fan base. Basically a universal symbol to let everyone know why a match is being stopped. It also introduces the third pillar is actual criminal charges. So FIFA calling for racism to be recognized as a criminal offense in every country that it's a member. Again, basically, it's a proposal. So it's nothing that's being enacted yet. It is a proposal that allows FIFA to have a unified response, especially when they're trying to exert pressure on governments and institutions and organizations outside of FIFA. Again, it's trying to combat racism. It's not going to solve racism.
But it'll have
my hope is that it gives referees and member organizations more teeth to try and do something within their organizations. I'm happy that they're trying to exert pressure on governments to, do something as well, to go beyond themselves. I don't know if we're going to see the outcome of that for decades, right? That's a slow process when you're looking at trying to change governments. But it was something that was just presented last Thursday. It'll be interesting to see whether or not
where this goes. Yeah,
symbol that referees can do, whether or not it's going to be in international competitions that are happening this summer, and whether or not it's going to be adopted by leagues. So,
So there's that. So let's quickly
brief.
So carving some legends. So Robin van Persie has been named Heerenveen's head coach. I didn't even know he was getting into coaching, so good for him.
Yeah, he's been around for a while. He's actually considered one of the up-and-coming new managers. He's been working as an assistant, I believe, with Feyenoord, working with their U18, U19 teams. This is now his first head coaching job. He's taking over from... I think it was a manager that's actually retiring. So he has a chance to try and make a name for himself. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, and
deal, first managerial role.
Yeah, let's see how his career goes. And speaking of managers, here's from a young guy to an old guy. Claudio Ranieri has retired from football.
Yeah,
and famously known for leading Leicester to that improbable title.
Yeah.
Hell of a career.
Good on him. Well-deserved retirement.
Dilly ding, dilly dong.
We'll see how far he actually stays away.
Yeah, I mean, he was a great character all around too.
Absolutely.
Also,
Tony
the
Kroos
first
has announced that he's going to retire from football at the end of the Euros.
So his last club match will be the Champions League final.
Yeah. Big post that was put out by Luka Modric. Basically talking about Kroos as a teammate and whatnot. So if you get a chance, check that out.
That was fun. He captioned it. Like one of the best passers I've ever seen. Just one of the best creators.
Yeah.
And also has a very funny Twitter account.
Which is what we care about when it comes to footballers.
Look at this stats. 33,911 passes attempted. 31,769 passes completed.
Wow.
Absolutely insane numbers.
Yeah.
And just all around incredible player, an amazing career. Sad to see it end, but it had to happen.
Yeah. And one that we
talked about a little
bit, Vincent Kompany possibly rumored with talks with Bayern Munich, and
they've actually contacted him.
Yeah, apparently that preliminary talks have actually been held. Now, Bayern Munich has talked to pretty much every manager that's available under the sun, even to the point that they actually reopened talks with Tuchel, trying to get him to stay, which he said.
But Tuchel said, no, screw that. I'm leaving.
Everyone is saying no to Bayern. What does that tell you?
I guess nobody wants to manage Bayern and go show Bayern are kind of a mess.
And the job is offered to you, you take the job.
Yeah, but
he's played in Germany. He speaks German. He understands the landscape. He gets to go to one of the biggest teams that's out there rather than being relegated back to the championship.
Though Burnley have been terrible, but apparently from what I'm reading, he wasn't the problem.
No.
It was a team.
Yeah. Like Burnley stormed the championship the year before. The problem is they tried to play the same way in the Premier League. It was exciting, but it it's a higher league.
So,
It wasn't gonna work.
Belgian reporter Satya Toglieri has said company will take an official decision this week.
Yeah.
And it's feeling that he's going to go to Bayern Munich because Bayern as company is the number one choice.
There you go.
So I mean, it's a big risk for him, to be honest.
It is
especially at this stage of his career. But
how do you say no?
How do you say no? But
How do you say no?
Despite Burnley's,
but you have an opportunity. It is also a huge opportunity.
Despite Burnley's struggles, company's still seen as one of the best up and coming managers.
Yep. And I am very curious to see what Alphonso Davies does under someone like Vincent Kompany. Interest in Davies with Madrid has seemed to have cooled in the last couple of weeks. He's only got a year left in his contract. So if you want to keep him, you better do something, or you have to move Davies now in order to get something for him. But someone like Kompany, if you can convince Davies to sign an extension, he is maybe the guy that can do it.
Yeah, and other than Kompany, another rumored name to go to Bayern Munich is Mauricio Pochettino, who's also rumored to go to Man United should they sack Ten Hag.
Poch has had his eyes on Man United
for years.
Yeah. He's already openly suggested that he is interested in that job should it ever become available. He's waiting. And it looks more and more like Man United is going to part ways with Ten Hag.
Yes, since it's likely they'll lose the FA Cup. Even if they win it, I'm sure they'll still sack him.
Look what happened with back
Van Gaal.
in the day. Yeah, right?
Yeah, they'll sack him in the tunnel again.
Yeah. Win the cup, sack him in the tunnel.
Yep. So
it's going to happen.
So that'll conclude this week's episode. A pretty jam-packed one. Yeah. Soccer's always jam-packed. So tell us what we're doing right. Tell us what we're doing wrong. Follow me on Twitter at Joshua800, Nathan and Durek. Podcast is at Terminal City FC. Check out our Writing for Your Everyone Sports Network. We'll both be at the Whitecaps game this Saturday, and we'll cover that for the website and talk about it.
Before we go, Josh. Before we go.
Well,
do we have anything to talk about?
Oh, yeah. Congrats to the Oilers. I hope they get swept by the Stars in round 4. And I hope...
you know what? That's as nice as I can expect.
Well, you can't win if you can't score. You can't win if your power play can't get set up.
Yeah.
And you can't win if you only show up like 8 minutes left in the third period.
But I will say that was a very nervous last 5 minutes.
I had a feeling you were crapping your pants final 5 minutes.
Oh, I was not comfortable. Let's just say that.
Yeah, I mean,
I was not comfortable.
As much as I hate losing to the Oilers, especially that they had a 3-2 series lead, I'm proud of the Canucks. Like, no one expected this.
I don't think that, yeah.
They made me fall in love with hockey again.
Yeah.
And the team again.
They're going to have some serious questions in this offseason. They've got...
Yeah, I'd like to bring back Nikita Zadorov, Dakota Joshua, and Elias Lindholm, but depends on how much they're asking. And I don't think Lindholm's coming back. Since it's rumored that he'll sign for like $7 million, $8 million plus some.
As much as he was kind of got under the skin of opponents, my team, you have to bring back Zadorov.
Yeah.
You have to bring back Zadorov.
Yeah, I'd be willing to give him the Myers contract.
Yeah.
Because I always found Zadorov is a better version of Myers.
Yeah.
But again, I'm proud of what the team accomplished, and hopefully this is just the beginning.
Yeah.
Of a great new era of hockey.
I think it brought some excitement back into the city. It was fun to watch fans. Of course, this stupidity was brought up by fans.
Of course,
it's that happens. But it doesn't feel like this was a one-off. Let's put it that way. Not. It doesn't feel like it was a one-off.
And knowing Patrick Alvin and Jim Rutherford, I think they're going to be like, okay, we did this, but let's get aggressive in the summer. Because look what they did this season.
Yeah.
Trading for Lindholm, aggressive. So, yeah, props to the Canucks, and I hope next year will be even better. And I'm glad I got to go to 2 games this season.
Yeah, fair enough.
They lost both of them, but it was
I
fun.
went to a good one actually. I went to the Canucks game. They were up 5-0 by the end of the first period, so it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was against the Sens, but
Yeah.
I even got to go to a playoff game, which was a bucket list item for me. Lost that game, but it goes to show that
You got to see the Oilers win, so I mean, what a treat.
I saw the Predators, not the Oilers.
Oh, it was before that. Oh, okay. Well, then, yeah, that doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, goes to show that if a team does well, people in Vancouver will show up, and maybe the Whitecaps can take a few notes.
Yeah.
From the Canucks.
Absolutely.
So that concludes this week's episode. Peace out.
Take care.